If you haven't been following the almost constant controversy coming out the day before and its bizarre development cycle, you'd be forgiven for losing track and thinking the game was never going to launch at all. The day before has been, well, I hesitate to say troubled, but only because that vastly undersells everything that has gone wrong with the first-person zombie shooter. From trademark disputes that got the entire game's Steam page removed after spending 2 years sat on top of Steam's wishlist chart, to accusations of ripping off other IPs from The Last of Us to Call of Duty, from endless, constant delays to allegations that the game didn't even exist and was some kind of attempt to raise hype and back in before pulling off a rug pull. Yeah, the day before has not had a good start to life, but it seemed like there might be some light at the end of the tunnel for developers Fantastic and for the day before, as despite some fans being of the opinion that they had simply bitten off more than they could chew by trying to make the post-apocalyptic MMO shooter a AAA game on a fraction of the cost and personnel, a beta was finally announced with the promise that no more delays would happen. The day before would be set for launch in November 2023. Well, it is November 2023, and there's still no the day before. All of which leads us up to this week where Fantastic once again failed to deliver on their promises, although admittedly by a slightly smaller time frame this time around. Just 9 days before the day before was supposedly set to release, Fantastic announced they were pushing the whole thing back to December 7th. So you know, a little better, we're just over a month away from potentially seeing this thing actually play, but that only applies to the PC version of the game via Steam, and they took great pains to emphasise that the release will only be in early access. To put 2 and 2 together for you, that essentially means that the console version of the day before has been delayed indefinitely until we hear more. So unlucky Xbox and PS players, no apocalyptic MMO for you this Christmas. You'll also notice that there was no further mention of the beta that was promised. Yeah, well that's because there isn't actually a public beta happening. Instead, the beta that Fantastic mentioned all those months ago will only be available to those who volunteer for the developer. Essentially people who are already working on the game or are helping Fantastic to develop it. IGN confirmed with the dev that only volunteers are going to be granted access to a beta before the early access release in December. That's despite their official statement about the beta back in April saying, "As we get closer to the release date, we will be conducting a beta test for the game. This will give players the opportunity to try out the game before it's released and provide valuable feedback that we can use to improve the final product." Now, I'll grant you it doesn't explicitly say that the beta will be public, I accept that, but after a year and a half of constant PR battles and miscommunication playing havoc with the game's public perception, it doesn't half feel disingenuous to say the least. Add to that the volunteers IGN mentions include both actual employees at Fantastic and also external volunteers who give up their free time to do unpaid work on the game. It's all just got a slightly sticky, unpleasant feeling to it beyond the hordes of zombies we've seen in the gameplay trailers. And that's the main problem here. The truth is that if the day before looks and plays half as good as the gameplay trailers actually make it seem like it should, Fantastic could be sat on an absolute winner here. But poor communication, including the announcement and follow-up on the beta, despite frequently promising to improve their communication going forward, has already sent a lot of would-be fans packing before the game ever had a chance to get its boots on, even with a shiny new gameplay trailer trying to claw back some of the goodwill. December 7th is going to be a big day for Fantastic, and honestly, a big day for the gaming world as a whole. The day before has been a constant source of controversy for almost 2 years. Hundreds of thousands of people, from journalists to casuals the world over, have got excited and put hype into this game more than almost any other in recent memory, until all the controversy happened anyway. And if it can't live up to that dwindling hype, or even worse, can't deliver on its most basic premises and promises, the day before could go down as one of the biggest disappointments and biggest fumbles in the history of games. Thanks for watching. What do you make of the day before controversy? And while I've got your attention, if you want to see more stuff like this, you should check out the channel and watch these videos here.